Do 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 do
We're
do.
live!
Happy
Happy
holidays!
holidays! Welcome, Anna, to holiday office hours.
Thanks,
Happy
thanks.
Thanksgiving. Happy day after Thanksgiving. Happy beginning of holiday season.
Happy Thanksgiving back, as Rose taught us to say, and you've got mail.
I am so check out I got my Red Truck inspired mask. And
That's
check out
so cute.
this sweater.
Oh, it's so festive.
I am ready. I bought this sweater like 2 months ago. I was like, I'm gonna wear it the day after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Let's go.
I prepared for today by eating 2 of the dinner rolls you made me. So that's great. It's
So
good.
we're all good.
Yeah. All right. You want to kick it
we
off?
are here to talk about teens and tweens and college students, our beloved YA category, which we both deeply adore.
Yes.
And it's great. I'm going to post a link in the comments. I have to like climb over this pile of books I have in front of me. And in here, you will find the links to buy all the books we're going to talk about today, plus a few more that we certainly won't get to. But you'll be able to see those there. If you have questions for those of you watching, hello. Pop them in the comments on either Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching from, and we'll be able to address them. But should we get started, Anna? Since you are not in the store and I am, would you like to start us off?
Sure. Okay, so the first book that I'm going to talk about is actually not out until Tuesday. It is not actually the book that's in my hand. It is the follow-up to Saga Ember in the Ashes. It's called A Sky Beyond the Storm. Ember in the Ashes, I believe, came out in like 2015, maybe? Yeah. Oh, it's so beautiful.
And we have signed copies.
You want to set one of those aside for me?
Oh, yeah, I think we can make that work. So we have one less signed copy than we had.
Okay, sorry guys, I'm selfish, but this series is just it's magical. It's magical, it's pacey. It's set in a world sort of inspired by the conquering Roman Empire. There are twists and surprises. There is like Middle Eastern like lore, I think specifically like Islamic inspired tradition and lore and like mythical creatures. Oh my god, it's just, it will sweep you away. It's wonderful.
And Saba was supposed to be our keynote at Novatine, but of course that got canceled. So now we support her by buying all of her books.
All of her books, preferably in hardcover.
So I wanted to start with actually not a book.
What?
But I think that this is the perfect gift for any like teen or college student or tween on your list. And also, I think if anyone wanted to buy me a gift, this would be great. It is the Office Trivia Decade Episode Guide.
Oh, how fun.
So for everyone else who spent all of quarantine, which I know is a lot of this age group, or like you're sort of millennials like myself, watching The Office literally on a loop, this is a great little option. So it pops out and you have the trivia, like the episode guide and the trivia deck. Super fun. You can play that over Zoom. If you want, you can just play it by yourself and feel superior over what everyone else you know. That's probably what I'll do. But
sounds like
it's a great
plan. Yeah. Okay. So I have got The Thief by Megan Wallen Turner. So apparently I can't hold this in front of the camera properly. This is the first book in this series, and it came out 20 years ago. And the finale to the series just came out like 2 months ago. It's called Return of the Thief. There are multiple books in the series in between. This series is one of those, every book in the series, it's just you're reading and you're like, okay, this is enjoyable. Another world sort of inspired by the Roman Empire.
Mm-hmm. A classic.
Beautiful and slow. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, what has she been doing all along? She also sort of makes up her own fables inside the stories that are sort of clues to like what's going to happen later on. This is the finale to this series, Return of the Thief, 20 years in the making. Like, I can't, like, what greater to bring together the tweens and the college kids and the older, bringing the family together for the holidays into it.
I love it. So this one I think is going to be a really hot gift for the holidays, which makes me feel like I'm on a like a home shopping network thing whenever I say it, but is also very accurate.
Amazing.
It is The Cousins by Karen McManus. And this is another one where we have signed copies. We have a limited number of all of our signed copies. Once they're gone, they're generally gone, especially for authors like Karen and Saba who aren't local. We can't like have them come in and sign more books. What we get from the publisher is what we get. So Karen McManus is the absolute queen of YA thrillers. Her first book, One of Us is Lying, has been on the New York Times bestseller list for like 1 million weeks, approximately. I think it's the scientific.
I think it's like 3 years, though, for real.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Like, legit. She's fabulous. And The Cousins, I read a few months ago, and it holds up. It's, like, creepy and thrillery and fast-paced and delightful. Look at that cover. Family first. Always.
Oh, good.
Plus, One of Us is Lying is got a limited-run series order, I think, or at least a pilot order. For their TV show, so people are going to be talking about Karen McManus. You can, be the cool aunt or whatever and get a signed copy.
You're in the know.
You're in the know.
Okay, I have another one. Can you see?
Kind of.
Okay, so I don't actually have a copy of this book because I listened to it on audio. This is Ray Bearer by Jordan Ifueko, and it's a shame that the picture quality isn't better.
They'll be able to see the full title on the link that I posted in the comments. So you guys can go there if you want to see the cover better.
Stunning cover. Ray Bearer is about, it's an African fantasy, I think specifically Nigerian inspired. I could be getting that wrong, so don't take me. It's been like several months since I read it. But it's about a king who, from birth, or from his early childhood, slowly anoints 11 council members. And for every council member that he anoints, and these people will be with him, from princehood until he becomes the king and through the rest of his life, he adds an invulnerability to himself. He anoints one council member, he cannot die by drowning. He anoints another, can't die by fire. And there's a matter sort of affinity and the regions of this empire, and it's so well imagined. And our main character has been raised from childhood to become one of the anointed and then to kill the king. Ooh. So it's real good. It's real good. Highly recommend.
Awesome. So this one is going to be a nonfiction option for the tweens, teens, and in-betweens in your life. And it is a book that a lot of you as adults have read. That is super cool. Good thing for you to talk about with the young readers. And it is Just Mercy, adapted for young readers.
Yeah.
Just Mercy. Anna, you read it pretty recently, right? And loved it?
Yeah, shredded me. Very good.
Yeah. So obviously that's, an adult book by Brian Stevenson, a memoir. This is adapted for a young reader audience. We keep it in our grades 7 to 9 section. So it works well for a younger teen as well, although you can certainly read it older than that. It's just a little bit more approachable in its language and its themes. Could be great to have the parent read the adult Just Mercy and the child read teen Just Mercy. Or honestly, we know plenty of adults who read the young reader adaptations of things. It's still the same book and the same content. You're just getting it a little bit simpler. Simpler not the right word. Just a little bit pared down. In the sort of delivery of it. So it's a great option. It's a paperback, which is also really nice. So this is a good addition to all the other cool books. Also make sure that they're still learning about being anti-racist. We can't stop doing that just because it's not April anymore.
Okay, I have another cool one. This is Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory.
I love that cover.
It is so spooky. I don't really know how to talk about this one without being spoilery. But I will say it is a queer rural horror. Our main character basically just has a lot of questions about her mom and where she comes from. And so she goes to stay with her grandma. And then she starts seeing some really unsettling things in her grandma's town.
Horror.
It is. I mean, this book, I was reading it and I was texting a friend who actually, I think, read an early draft from Rory. And I was like, this is weird, right? And she's like, yeah, just wait. Just wait until it all hits the fan. So Burn Our Bodies Down. It was a New York Times bestseller, I believe, as was Wilder Girls. It's amazing.
All right, so I want to take it down a little bit for our tween audience. You know, this can be kind of a hard group to shop for because they're above that sort of like Percy Jackson age series, but they're not quite ready for like, you know, some YA does have more mature themes of assault and violence and sexual themes you don't necessarily want, you know, your 12-year-old who's reading really well to get into yet. Which is fine. Or you do, and they're reading that. But for those who are, you know, maybe not quite ready for that, I absolutely adore the Bookish Boyfriends series by Tiffany Schmidt. This is like, if a lot of you have come in and like talked to me about books for your tweens, I probably recommended something in the series for you before. If that's the case, there are more now. But this series is absolutely delightful. Here, this is the first one. Bookish Boyfriends, A Date with Darcy. This is kind of, they picture it as like Magic School Bus meets literature. It's set in a high school. The main character is a freshman for the first book. And she is an English teacher who gives her students like reading assignments that seem to magically and mysteriously end up channeling exactly what they need in their life, which is delightful. So this first girl, she reads Romeo and Juliet first and is like, this is my life. This bad boy is my Romeo. I am Juliet. What she does not realize is that she's actually pretty much living out Pride and Prejudice with a different boy.
That's so cute.
So it's a series. You don't need to read them in order, like the characters are connected, but since each of them has a romance element, like the story completes for each one.
Sure.
So the first one is Pride and Prejudice. The second one is Little Women. This is actually my favorite one. This is Amy and Laurie's story from Little Women, and it's the little sister of the main character from the first book and the best friend of the character from the first book. So you get that Laurie and Amy situation going on there.
Oh,
and then the third book, Talk Nerdy to Me, which is delightful, is Frankenstein meets Anne of Green Gables.
Of course it is. I forgot about that.
They're so funny. Tiffany Schmidt's absolutely delightful, and I would recommend any of these. If one of the stories talks to you more, grab that one first. You don't need to start with A Date with Darcy, but they're all delightful.
Glorious. Okay, I'm going to sort of address two novels in one now. And I just want to talk about boarding schools for a second. There's something about the Christmassy season, the winter, the December just makes me want to read like spooky boarding school stories. So I'm going to talk about two of them really quickly. The first one, this is the only book that I have in this series in the house, so I apologize. There's Truly Devious, The Vanishing Stare, and The Hand on the Wall. They're all by Maureen Johnson. This series is, I think it's one of my favorite YA series in recent years. Like it's about a boarding school where a murder was committed in the 30s, and our main character has become an expert on this series, on this murder, and she returns, and there's just it feels a bit like a classic mystery, like even though it's contemporary, like even though it's YA and very much feels like an of the moment YA, it also has that feel of all of the, well, you can see behind me, there's a lot of Agatha Christie's back there.
Yeah, it's got a real like Agatha Christie Holmesian like twist bent to the way that she solves the mystery and that the characters around her develop.
The vibe is so, yeah.
So
there's that.
The series.
And then there's this other one. It's called An Education in Ruin. And you cannot see it very well because phones and computers.
It's on the list on the link that I posted in the comments.
Essentially, a girl goes to a boarding school with the aim of taking these two boys down. And that's really all I can say, but it is good.
Perfect. I love it. The nice thing about, by the way, Truly Devious is that Truly Devious is the first, and it's a trilogy, and the trilogy is complete. She did announce that a fourth book is coming out, but it is after the main story stops, so you can get all 3 books and get the mystery taken care of, and not have to wait a year for a cliffhanger like the rest of us did.
That was terrible. I read the first one and was like, oh, standalone. And then I got to the end and I was like, no. And then I read the second one and I was like, duology. I'm going to find out. And then it got to the end and I was like, no.
Yeah, anyway, it's rough.
The third one definitely wraps things up.
Yeah, Amber adores those books too. So they're great. Speaking of boarding schools, then I should mention my next one, which I don't have in the store because we sold out of it. It's not quite a boarding school, but it is an early college program. It's Legendborn by Tracy Dion, which I think is probably one of my absolute favorite books I read this year. I finished it and texted everyone I knew being like, you have to read this book. It's so good. I got Rebecca Spees super into it as well. You have Arthurian legend, you have retelling, you have black girl magic, you have like systemic racism and like inherited trauma. This gorgeous cover. I'm obsessed with it. It's hard for me to describe it because it's the sort of book that I tend to just start rambling about and then I start crying because it makes me emotional how much I love it, which has happened on these types of calls before, so I'm going to try to keep it under control.
Rein the tears in.
Yeah, but absolutely everyone should buy it. It's beautifully paced. It's long enough that you feel like you really get immersed in the world. It is I think it's probably my favorite book that I read this year, honestly. Like, it's this gorgeous contemporary fantasy, and I think it's going to really change the genre of YA contemporary fantasy. Like, it's a game changer.
I haven't read this one yet.
Yeah,
kind of a moron. Look, it's been kind of a year, okay?
Leave the call right now.
Okay, all right, my turn.
Well, is it because that you wrote a book this year, Anna, and it also came out as a great pick for teens, tweens, and in-betweens?
I have this one. This is the Boundless.
It's the sequel to The Beholder. It's a wonderful fairy tale retelling. You've probably heard us talk about it. We talk about it all the time. The series is complete now, so you're good. It's great for a younger YA crowd as well, which is really nice.
Very tame. Very tame. I mean, like, it's romantic, but you're not gonna, like, my grandmother has read this and shared it with her friends. So
yes,
it's great for all ages.
Yes, to quote the best blurb that book has gotten, which is from my mother, Jeannie Quain, that Anna girl, a friend of yours, is very talented.
I love your mom so much.
She loves you too, and she thinks you're a great writer, and so does everybody else. So buy Anna's book. It's great. Now you can continue, Anna.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go for a book that is maybe not so soft around the edges. Tigers Not Daughters by Samantha Mabry. It is magical realism. It's about these four sisters, the Torres sisters, who live in San Antonio, and they lose one of their sisters. Their oldest sister passes away. And it's sort of one of those stories. It's difficult to explain because there's not like a hook for this plot so much as, is their oldest sister gone or isn't she? Because they kind of keep, not like in a spooky, mysterious, not like in a thrillery sort of way, but like they sense her in the house even though she's gone, and their father is extremely needy. It's not like it's hard to say. It's a wonderful book. It got like 6-star reviews also.
Love that.
That's a lot of starred reviews. Samantha Mabry is amazing.
Awesome. So I wanted to talk about something that's a little bit on the lighter side too. This book came out a couple years ago, but it's now out on paperback, and I adore it. It's The Way You Make Me Feel by Maureen Gu. Maureen Gu is a fabulous, hilarious writer. This is my favorite of hers. If you are a fan of the Netflix show Never Have I Ever that Mindy Kaling produced, everyone is. It's a great show. I think this one hits me in like similar feels where it's like super hilarious, but also like deeply heartwarming. It has a fabulous romance at the center of it. So if you have somebody who's looking for something kind of like funny and light, this is super good. Also, sort of along the same veins, we have Dating Mates Perfect by Pintip Dunn. Pintip's a local author, which is always fabulous. I would say that like if you like To All the Boys I Loved Before, this is sort of hitting you in the same vibes there. So this is a great option for that.
Okay, I will bring up White Fox by Sarah Faring.
I love that cover.
It is so cool. And this book is like weird and eerie. It's about these two sisters named Manon and Thais, and their mother was sort of an it girl actress in the I guess in like the 70s and 80s. And then she disappeared, like taking her mysterious last like script with her that she was writing. And then when they're invited back to they live in Manhattan, and they're invited back to their mother's island home, an island in the Mediterranean. Rumors sort of start to abound at this retrospective that Dior is hosting in their mother's honor, that the lost script may not be lost after all. So their father has passed on, and they have to find the script and maybe find their mother as well. So
I love a kind of like gently thrillery book for the winter. Like, when it gets cold outside, I'm just like, who dies? Like,
it's Sorry, that's great. I love it.
No, it's perfect. So let's take a step back into fantasy over a Maya, and I have to pull it out here. First of all, look at this cover. I mean,
so good.
My goodness, Lobizona. I adore this book. This is a book about immigration. It is a book about not belonging. It is a book about magic. This is like, so you've read Harry Potter, right? And like, we're not doing much Harry Potter anymore because there's been some bad stuff there, but you want that like boarding school, like magical school feel. You get Lobizona. It's great. Lobizona is absolutely just delicious. Like, it follows this young girl whose name I've now completely forgotten about. Manu. I read it in the summer, so it's been a bit.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, Manu. She and her mother are undocumented immigrants, and she stays in her apartment all the time, both because she's undocumented, but also because she has these eyes that are obviously very distinctive, and people will recognize her and remember her out in the street. When she eventually does venture out once, her mother is taken by ICE, and she manages to flee, only to discover that she comes from another type of people, not just her heritage, but also her heritage of werewolves and witches. And she doesn't actually belong there either. It is kind of undocumented and illegal in that world as well. It's just so good. It's such a cool magic system. I adore it. There's another book coming out. Thank goodness, because the end of this, I was just like, what?
No!
And I just love it. This is like, if you need fantasy, get this and Legendborn. Those are my two picks for fantasy for the year, besides Boundless, obviously. But you should already own that. So, like, come on.
Okay, I will go with one that is
yes.
slightly different angle of fantasy. So this is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. Bridget is one of my favorite humans, just in general.
We adore Bridget.
We love Bridge. So it's A Curse So Dark and Lonely, A Heart So Fierce and Broken, and those are the two that are out. And this is sort of a, the first book is sort of like Beauty and the Beast, a crossover between our world and a fantasy world, but it sort of answers the question like, okay, so the prince is cursed to turn into a beast, and, you know, that's what's happening inside the castle, but, like, what about, like, the country that he governs?
Yeah,
like,
this can't be good for the government.
Like, in general, like, how are the people doing?
And the answer to that book is poorly.
Not great is the answer. So the third book in the series, A Vow So Bold and Deadly, is out in, I believe, 2 months in January 2021.
I'm so excited.
You should be. So you can order Curse and Heart and then pre-order Vow. So trifecta.
Yes. Perfect. A great stocking stuffer is a little printed out slip of a pre-order for a book.
Oh, that's cute.
Just saying. You can do that for me, Anna, when you make me a stocking.
Perfect.
So another thing I wanted to talk about is a book that I liked so much that they put me on the back of it.
Yeah, Amanda Quinn, no more page books.
Yes. So this book is The Life and Medieval Times of Kit Sweetly. I will read my blurb on the back of it for you because, one, I'm very proud that it's the top of the back of the hardcover. That doesn't happen to booksellers that often. And I also think it's accurate. So, as a former serving wench, I can confirm this book is accurate. As a current bookseller, I can confirm this book is amazing. A must-read for everyone who ever dreamed of wielding a sword and jousting into the sunset.
That's fantastic.
Anna, what if you worked in medieval times and also you had to fight against the patriarchy?
That first of all sounds like something I would do.
It does. It does.
Things. So
that's what Kit has to do. Kit works as a squire. Her brother is a knight. He is injured one day. She steps in and is a knight for him. In a final, which women are not allowed to be at this janky-ass medieval times ripoff. In the final moment, she's not supposed to win that joust, but she does because she hates the guy she's jousting. And then because, she's 16 and doing her best, they're like, congratulations, no man has ever bested me before. And she pulls a total Lord of the Rings, pulls off her helmet and goes, I am no man. And actually starts a feminist uprising at this medieval times-like restaurant.
Baller. I love it.
What more do you need? It's so funny. It's super great. There's a lot of queer characters in this one as well who are also dealing with struggles against patriarchy, aren't we all? And it's just like a nice, pretty orange also, which I really like.
It's charming.
Less relevant, but I just think it's pretty to look at.
It is nice to look at. Okay. So I've got here A Song of Wraiths and Ruin. Shiny, 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 shiny. This is the debut by Rosie Brown. It came out this year. and it hit the New York Times bestseller list. This is one of those, like, she's got to kill him, he's got to kill her books.
What are you going to do about it?
Definitely not fall in love.
Certainly not. That's never what happens in these situations.
That's basically the whole thing. Solstasia Festival, tributes from the term is not tributes. The term is something else.
Well,
basically,
they have to find out.
Tributes into a contest representing like 5 spiritual tribes. It's very cool. Song of Racing Ruin, shiny. All right. What else you got?
I wanted to bring up another thing that's not a book, but I think it's a super cool gift for your teens, tweens, college, and otherwise, and it is a tarot deck, which is super cool. We have a lot of tarot decks at the store. This one is the Line Strider Tarot. I just picked this one because I think that the illustrations are really lovely.
Those are pretty.
Yeah, you may not know much about tarot. I didn't either. But it's a super cool thing that maybe your teen or college student wants to get into. And they've got a little more free time. If they're doing, virtual learning or whatever, they can read their friends' tarots over Zoom, probably. This is another one. If you want to be the cool aunt, get someone a tarot deck. Like, if one of my aunts got me a tarot deck, I'd be like, wow, they think I'm much cooler than I am. I don't understand it. But it's really fun and just a cool little thing that like might, you'll know if the person you're buying for is going to like a tarot deck. And generally people are not mad about getting more. Like, people can be picky about getting tarot decks, but yes, people are usually like, yes, this has chosen me via the gift from you.
Another thing from everyone's cool aunt. This is Fable by Adrienne Young, and it is the Reese Witherspoon, the first YA Reese Witherspoon pick. Reese Witherspoon is everyone's cool aunt, in case that joke.
You just adore
him. This is the most like salty, magical, like scrappy. Basically, okay. So first of all, this came out in, I believe, September. The sequel's out in January.
I love that.
Yeah. So anybody who's a fast reader, you can get this beautiful, I'm angling this the wrong way because I can't tell. It's a beautiful cover. The sequel, Namesake, is like the other side of the face. So you get like a full,
hello.
Really cool. This is about a girl named Fable whose father abandons her on a pirate's island, basically, when she's, I think, 12 or 13, and says, if you can crawl your way like back to my side, I'll give you what you belong, like what is owed to you.
All right, done.
So it's like a rage revenge book. It's very good.
We all need a little rage revenge in our lives these days. So I think we have time for one more each if we talk fast, Anna. I know that'll be hard for us. I wanted to mention this book, How the King of Elfame Learned to Hate Stories. Holly Black is everyone's favorite. Like, she's an amazing fantasy writer. Her series that just concluded, that this is a prequel to, is like universally beloved. If you have a teen or a YA reader in your life who loves fantasy, they've most likely read and enjoyed Holly Black.
Queen of Nothing.
Yeah. And this book is a sort of prequel following one of the main characters before he meets the others. And it is beautifully illustrated throughout, which just like is such a good gift. It's not too big. Like, it won't take someone forever to read if they're worried about like, oh, I don't need another like fantasy type book. It's short. It's beautiful. It's a great option. Anna, what's your last one?
Okay, so this is actually, I have not read this one yet, and it is not out yet. This is Lore by Alex Bracken, and it's out in January.
Another great order in the stocking.
So I just grabbed this one from the back room the other day. I saw the arc, and I was like,
it's such a good cover. I'm obsessed with it.
So if you can't see, obviously this is a sort of Medusa reference. I'll just read the first little bit of the back. Every 7 years, the Aegon begins. As punishment for a past rebellion, 9 Greek gods are forced to walk the earth as mortals. They are hunted by the descendants of ancient bloodlines, all eager to kill a god and seize their divine power and immortality.
Yes, who doesn't need that?
So, everybody needs that.
Order or pre-order that for whoever you need to buy a book for. Print out the receipt, put it in their stocking, and then they have a January gift. You know what I always want in January? I've gotten spoiled on getting gifts because my birthday's in October, Christmas is in January, and then I have to wait 10 months before I get a present again? No. Spread it out here, please. All right. This has been delightful. It is just about 5 o'clock, so we do need to go because otherwise you and I will talk YA literally all night long.
It's true.
And that'll be great. And in 2022, you can buy both of our books. So that'll be that year. In the meantime, these will do very well. All right. We're going to go. Anna, I miss you dearly. I'm going to touch your face emotionally.
That's fine. This is fine.
This is the safe way of doing it. And thank you all for tuning into our office hours. And we'll see you next week when we will do another one. And you can find it on your calendar that I don't have open right now, so I can't tell you what it is. But I bet it'll be great.
Do you want me to tell you what it is?
Okay.
The next one is Elementary and Below.
Perfect. So for that younger kid reader, that'll be a great option. But we will let you all go. Enjoy your Thanksgiving weekend. Happy Small Business Saturday tomorrow. We're not going to be open, but we'll be giving gifts in all the orders that we get placed.
Yes.
So you'll get a gift. Buy a book. Buy these books. They're fabulous.
They're great.
They're great. All right. Love you all. Happy Thanksgiving weekend. Goodbye.
Bye.